Hello. This video is me reading chapters 4, 5, and 6 of The Amber Giants. So just to recap what happens in chapters 1 through 3, Caroline finds a book, and on this big old dusty book is a picture of the Amber Giants. And she wants to know where he is, and she wants to go wake him up. He's been asleep for 1,000 years, trapped in the Himalayas, which is a mountain range, and her whole family is going to Nepal on a family vacation. But only the dad is going to go into the mountains to wake up the Amber Giant. So Caroline is wondering how she can get there into the mountains with her dad. So chapter 4 starts off in Katmandu, a main city in Nepal. Katmandu wasn't dry and dusty at all. It was covered with green grass, trees, and flowers. The empty mountain landscape they saw in the film was much higher up in the peaks. Caroline still had jet lag, even though they arrived in Katmandu 4 days ago. Their apartment was on a noisy street, making it difficult to sleep. And when she did sleep, she dreamed of the giants. Alive and trapped in the mountain, he called to her and asked her to free him. Now it was warm and sunny, and she wanted to take a nap, but the city was too noisy for naps. "Look, a monkey!" Sammy shouted. A golden brown animal shrieked at them from the steps of an old temple. Busy tourists snapped pictures and blocked Caroline's view of the monkeys. "There will be more monkeys to see at the monkey temple," Mom explained in an excited voice as she read her travel guide. "It's up a hill, so we can take rickshaws there." Her mom took her and Sammy's hands and led them to the street, while Dad hailed the little wagons attached to bicycles. They climbed into the seats of the rickshaws. Caroline and her mom shared one, and her dad got in a second one with Sammy. Her dad planned to leave the next day, and Caroline still hadn't figured out a way to go with him. But despite that, she was enjoying herself. Her new summer dress was decorated with yellow and blue flowers, and it made her feel cheerful. Though the seat was uncomfortable and the whole rickshaw jumped with every bump in the road, it was covered with bright orange fabric that came over their heads and protected them from the sun. The driver cycled through the busy streets while Caroline looked out from the shade. People dressed in a variety of colors carried all sorts of things from the markets: silk cloth, chickens, bags of fruit. Women wore long dresses called saris. People chatted to each other loudly in the streets. Caroline was glad she had her logbook. Every night she wrote the new words she learned in it, words like rickshaw and sari. "Your dad will leave early tomorrow," Mom said, "but don't worry, he'll be back before we know it. Meanwhile, we're going on an elephant safari. Won't that be fun?" She adjusted Caroline's bright blue sun hat as the rickshaw climbed a hill. Caroline imagined that riding an elephant would be fun, but the thing she wanted to do most was go with her dad. She felt as if the mountains called to her. Distant peaks rose above the city. "Well, here we are." Her mom jumped down and helped Caroline climb out. The rickshaw driver cycled around looking for more riders. "There are loads of monkeys here," Sammy cheered and ran close to some seated on a stone step. He had scrapes on his knees from jumping off low walls and landing on them, but he climbed up a stone platform anyway. "Sammy, stay near to us," Mom called. Caroline looked around in wonder. 3 enormous golden statues sat on high pillars, and there was a tall building with painted eyes. Dozens of monkeys scurried along. "Let's go see what they're selling," Mom said and took Caroline by the hand. Sammy and her dad stayed behind, taking pictures of the monkeys and the statues. Caroline followed her mom to a tiny stand with lots of colorful scarves and bags. "Would you like anything, Caroline?" Mom asked. "If you see anything you'd like, we can get it." Caroline felt the soft, colorful bags and let the smooth scarves cover her hands. Her eyes rested on a stone figure of a person with long arms and legs like a dancer. "This is nice." Caroline felt the stone. It was smooth and cool. "How much?" Mom asked the woman behind the table. The vendor was an old lady with a brown, wrinkled face and a dark red sari. Her black hair was tied back tightly. "That one is not for sale." The woman frowned. "It's so beautiful," Caroline said. "So smooth." When she tried to give it back to the vendor, the stone doll's leg looped around her wrist. No matter what she tried, it wouldn't let go. "It won't come off," Caroline showed her mom. "Well, how on earth did that happen?" "Well, let's see." Her mom tried to pull it off her hand, but it got tighter around her wrist. After a few failed attempts to pull the doll off Caroline's arm, Mom asked the vendor how to get it off. "You take it," the old woman said. "Take it and leave." The vendor waved her hands. "Free, free, shop closed." "What? Is there a trick to get it off her wrist? Don't you want to be paid for it?" Her mom waved some money at the woman, but the vendor covered her head with a yellow silk scarf and hid her face. "No, it belongs to your daughter now." After making a strange hand signal, she leaned close to Caroline and whispered, "What is lifeless has life." "What?" Mom leaned closer to the stand, but the Nepalese woman hurried away. Caroline felt the stone leg loosen and easily took it off her wrist. "What a strange woman," her mom commented and pulled Caroline towards the statues. She started to explain what the statues were, but Caroline wasn't listening. The stone figure was warm to the touch. Chapter 5. Caroline couldn't sleep. The sounds of traffic, all the shouts from the street below, plus all Sammy's snoring, kept her up. At least her bed was comfortable. She took the stone figure from her bedside table and stroked the smooth surface. It was cold. She wondered if it really happened. Had the stone really turned warm? Did its leg really loop around her wrist? It was probably just her imagination and jet lag. Her dad was on the phone all evening, and she never got the chance to show it to him. "What is lifeless has life," Caroline whispered. Sammy's snore had finally quieted down, but the doll was more interesting than sleep. The stone grew warm in her hands. "So I didn't imagine it." Caroline squinted in the dim lights. The figure had no eyes or face when she bought it, but now it opened two big eyes and smiled with a mouth Caroline hadn't seen before. Surprised, she dropped it on the bed. "Don't be afraid," it said in a voice as smooth as honey. "No, I'm not afraid," she said, but she did feel afraid. She moved to the edge of her bed, far from the doll, and hugged her knees to her chest. "I'm just a piece of magic stone," the doll said. "I am the life of a giant." "The Amber Giant? You know us?" The mouth smiled and the eyes crinkled. "My dad is going to wake him up." She crawled closer to the doll. It stayed where it was. "The giant, if he awakens, will take back his life," the doll said. "I will return to mere stone once again." "Oh, so you'll die?" Caroline whispered, hoping Sammy wouldn't wake up. Sammy would scream so loud if he saw a talking doll. But she didn't have to worry because he was snoring loudly again in a deep sleep. I don't know. The doll stretched again. It feels good to move after so long. I want you to meet my dad, Caroline said. He'll know what to do. The doll shook its head. Only you can see me move, the doll told her. Only you can hear me talk. Caroline picked the doll up. It seemed warm and flexible, not hard like stone. She studied the little gray arms and legs. Ar adat, leichen adat, the doll said softly. What does that mean? Caroline repeated the words to herself so she would remember them. With one hand, she pulled out her logbook from the little bedside table and wrote them down. It's an old language, the doll explained. It means that which is lifeless has life, like me. The doll stood up and wobbled in Caroline's hand. I said those words and they woke you up, Caroline whispered. The doll lost its balance and fell back into Caroline's palm and closed its eyes. Its face looked peaceful. One more thing. The doll opened one eye. The giant should not be awakened. It sleeps for a reason. What reason? The stone was growing cooler in Caroline's hand. That is all. The doll closed its eyes again. Its features disappeared, leaving smooth stone where there was a face. The stone was now cold. Wondering whether it was a dream, she lay wide awake until she heard her dad moving around the house just before dawn. Okay, are you ready for the last chapter of this video, chapter 6? Let's find out what happens next. Caroline stood in the doorway and watched her dad prepare his bags in the tiny living room. It was before dawn, and the sky out the window was silver blue. Dad wore a fleece, though it was a warm night. The bags were too full for the last scarf and book he tried to cram in. Gonna be cold, might need the text, so it's got to fit too, Dad said as he tried to zip the backpack closed. Dad! Caroline's whisper made him jump. Oh, did you come to say goodbye? He pressed his knee on the pack to smash everything down, trying to make it all fit. The book wouldn't go, even though he tried several different ways. What does Ar adat leichen adat mean to you? Caroline asked. Where did you hear that? Dropping the bag, he came over to look her in the eye. I'm not sure you would believe me. Caroline shifted on her feet. Then she handed him the smooth doll, which was still and lifeless. Try me. He took the stone figure, his forehead wrinkled in confusion. What's this? A doll I bought at the market, Caroline explained. Well, we actually never paid for it. Dad gave her a strange look. She told the story of how the figure wrapped its leg around her wrist, and how later it spoke to her. A magic artifact! He traced the doll with his finger, but it didn't move or wake up. It spoke of the giant, you say? How wonderful! So you believe me? Caroline asked. Of course. These things are described in old books, Dad said with a gleam in his eye. I have never seen one before. So I can go with you? She asked. You have to, Dad told her. If this artifact has attached itself to you, it may be key in waking the giant. But your mother will never understand. Remember, she doesn't believe in giants or magic. But I have to come with you, Caroline pleaded. You just said I have to go. She pulled her dad's pack. I can help carry things. Well, I agree you should come. Am I right that this doll speaks only to you? Caroline nodded. Well, you won't be able to walk all the way. I'll have to ask the guide to carry you. Forgetting to be quiet, she clapped her hands and sang, We're going to the mountains. We're gonna wake the giants. Shh. Dad looked nervously towards the dark bedroom. Don't wake your mom. We'll leave her a note. And you can't come in your pajamas. It will be cold in the mountains. Go put on your heaviest clothes. You can borrow a fleece from me and a hat. Do you have gloves? No. She wondered if the little doll would need warm clothes too. "We'll buy them on the way." Her father turned back to his pack. "Dad?" "Yes, sweetheart." He was already taking things out to make room for her clothes. "The doll said not to wake the giant." "Well, sweetie, we don't know much about the doll, and we shouldn't believe what it says. The amber giant can tell us a lot about life 1,000 years ago, including magical artifacts like the stone doll. That's why it's important to wake him." Dad studied the figure. She wished the doll would speak, but it didn't wake up. "Yeah, maybe the doll doesn't know what she's talking about." "The doll told you a message from another time," Dad explained. "It's like voicemail, only we don't know who left it." Her dad shook the doll, but Caroline took it from him. "That doll really isn't alive," Dad said. "You know that, right?" Caroline nodded. "I know, voicemail." But the doll had seemed so real. Maybe the doll was more than just voicemail. They'd probably find out more about the doll, maybe even from the giant himself, Caroline thought. Excitement filled her. She couldn't believe she was going on a real adventure. As Caroline searched through her drawers for a sweater, she frowned. The drawer was full of summer skirts and t-shirts. Caroline slammed the drawer shut, then jumped nervously when it banged. If Sammy woke up, he would want to come with her. Luckily, he kept snoring. And hopefully her mom hadn't heard anything either. Dad rushed into her room and hurried her up. Light pink clouds appeared through the window, warning it was time to leave. Alarmed at her summer wardrobe, Dad explained they would have to buy winter clothes on the way. They had a long journey ahead, and it was better to leave as soon as it got light. Okay, I'll see you in the next video for chapters 7, 8, and 9.